I'm often asked questions in the form of, will I lose X in the awakening process? So let me fill in the blank a little bit. The common concerns are, will I lose my mind? Will I lose my sense of choice? Will I lose my perspective? Will I lose my family? Will I lose my ability to take care of my family? Will I lose myself? Will I lose my sense of self? Will I lose my enjoyment of life? There are many others, but the concern that we're going to lose something is very common in this process. One of the reasons for this is that we often experience a sense of grief as we wake up. Sadness can be a frequent visitor as we work through our repressed emotions, as we investigate the nature of beliefs, as we investigate the nature of memory, thoughts, impressions. This can lead us to believe that we're losing something vital, something important, something of value. Sometimes we even feel a falling away that we can't pinpoint where it is, what caused it, or what it's referring to. And yet that sense of just dissolving, falling away, or loss seems to be there a good amount of the time. The first thing to know about all of these experiences, these emotional experiences, is that they're okay. Not only are they okay, they really just come with this territory. You're not going to traverse the awakening path without feeling these emotions. At times, you might even negotiate with the process. Even if you had felt quite committed to it, you might question your decision or your choices because the loss feels too great. Or you feel like it's the realization itself that's taking something from you or from your life. Or that if it is allowed to continue, you'll lose more than you're willing to lose, or more than you want to lose, or more than you can handle. What I've found is that in the end, not that there's an end, but when all is said and done from the perspective of gain and loss, it turns out you never really lost anything. This is quite paradoxical because the illusion that is dispelled is the illusion of the hungry one that always waits for what it thinks it needs, hopes for what it thinks it needs, desires, tries to imagine it into being. That illusion is dispelled at some point. So the constant or nearly constant feeling of seeking, desire, hope, aversion stops. And when it stops, you find something remarkable. And that is, there really was never anything to lose. The idea of loss, the feeling of loss, which can cause us so much suffering. The loss doesn't cause suffering, but the resistance to it does. Is based on an illusion. It's based on something that's just not true. And that is the possibility of gain or loss. I understand this makes no sense logically, but experientially it becomes very clear that anything there could be, if at all, is right here. The house of mirrors of thoughts makes it seem like things are elsewhere, experiences are elsewhere, what you need to manage is out there somewhere. But this is all a series of reflections. So perhaps the reflecting subsides in a certain way, but nothing really goes away. In fact, it becomes more intimate. It becomes, in a certain way, completely intimate. Because there's no sense of something out there to find, achieve, gain, understand, etc. Out there-ness goes away. But strangely, in-here-ness also goes away. So all that is left is a sense world. Or you could say an energetic world. But this energy I speak of is not in a place. It's not in space or time because these are cognitive in nature. You will directly know what's here, what exists or doesn't exist before the illusions of time and space have moved the mind at all. And that knowing is instinctual at the most basic or fundamental level. It's not doubtable. Anything in the mind is doubtable. Any perception, anything transitory, anything that seems to be solid, that seems to be there in a certain place, in a certain time, those are all doubtable. But what I'm pointing to is not doubtable by nature. I can't tell you what it is in words, but I point to it all the time. And the realization can be driven to this knowing, to this instinct, here where nothing could ever be lost.